Picture this. You are a supervisor and you become aware of behavior that is negatively impacting staff within your area of supervision. No one has come to you to complain, though. What should you do? Is it okay to ignore the behavior until someone complains? What is expected of you? Should you address the behavior now? If so, how? What resources are available to help you respond effectively? The goal of this module is to help you understand your responsibilities as a person in a position of authority and to ensure that you will know where to go to get help when determining how to respond. The Ontario Human Rights Commission expects that anyone who could be perceived to be in a supervisory role will respond if they become aware of discriminatory or harassing behavior. They are considered to be part of the directing mind of the institution. This means that the Commission assumes that once a supervisor is aware, the entire institution, right up to the President, has instantly become aware, and a failure to respond is considered to be irresponsible. In fact, failing to respond could create a liability situation for both the corporation and possibly for the parties involved. It is also important to understand that you may be considered part of the directing mind even if you do not directly supervise the person who is being harassed. If you are perceived to be a person in a position of authority, you have a responsibility to respond. The Ontario Human Rights Commission has an expectation that the university will ensure that all managers are aware of their duties and responsibilities under the code and under internal policies. So what are your responsibilities if someone comes to you with a concern? If you are not the department head, your role is simply to listen and get help. This sounds simple, but it is important that this is done in the right way. An effective initial response can minimize the negative impact that a concern has on the individuals involved, the department, and the university community. In order to effectively respond to concerns, the best thing that you can do is to be prepared. One way to be prepared is to become familiar with the University of Waterloo's guidelines for supervisors regarding harassment and discrimination. Here is a sample of what you will find in these guidelines. When someone approaches you with a complaint, you should put the individual at ease by providing them with a private place to talk, giving them your whole attention, and giving them time to explain their concern. Listen actively by maintaining an appropriate level of eye contact and providing feedback in order to let the person know that you have heard them. Reassure them that you are there to help work towards a resolution and that they will not face reprisal or be disadvantaged by coming to you for assistance. Document the meeting. Take notes during or immediately after the interview and store them in a safe place. If the individual is concerned about confidentiality, assure them that you will be respectful of their privacy. Indicate that you will not release their names while conferring with others, but remind them that there may be a time when it will be necessary to release more details, including names, and that you will attempt to inform them in advance. Remember, you cannot guarantee confidentiality. If a person indicates a strong desire to discuss a complaint in complete confidentiality, they should be referred to a counselor at Counseling Services. Encourage the person to document the details of the incident. What exactly happened during the incident? When did the incident occur? Where did the incident occur? Were there any witnesses? If so, who were these witnesses? Encourage the individual to get support. They may want to get support from a friend initially, but it is important that they then seek support from someone trained to handle complaints. Such people can be found in the Human Rights, Equity, and Inclusion Office, in the Sexual Violence Response Coordinator, through Counseling Services, in the Safety Office, at Health Services, or through University of Waterloo Police Services. Before concluding the meeting, explain what your next steps will be and why. Ask if there is anything else they think is important to discuss. Agree on a time for you to get back to them, and try to respond within 48 hours. This demonstrates that you are taking the concern seriously. After your initial contact with the individual, compile your notes. Notes should be taken either during the meeting or immediately after, as notes are critical if the complaint proceeds formally. Make sure to store your notes in a safe place. Then, get help immediately As a supervisor, you can contact the Conflict Management and Human Rights Office. Another step that you can take in order to be prepared is to become familiar with the University of Waterloo's Policy 33 Ethical Behavior and Policy 42 Prevention and Response to Sexual Violence, as well as the Workplace Harassment Program. You can find links to these documents on our website. Obviously, it is important that we respond to complaints that come forward, but we are also expected to be aware of what is happening within our area of supervision, even if there has been no official complaint. Those who are experiencing negative behavior may not come forward until things get unbearable. Often people do not speak up because of fear, uncertainty, and embarrassment. Employers and supervisors who become aware of incidents of harassment or discriminatory behavior, even if there has been no formal report, are expected to take these situations seriously and respond appropriately, not ignoring the behavior. In order to identify potential problems early, there are some very simple things that you can do. Pay attention to the behavior of those that you supervise and how it is impacting others. Check with someone if you believe that they are afraid or uncomfortable. Let your staff know that they can bring their concerns to you. Ensure that you are not sending mixed messages that might prevent them from approaching you by monitoring your tone of voice and body language. Make your staff aware of resources available to them on campus. If concerns arise and you are not sure what to do, seek advice from the Conflict Management and Human Rights Office. You may wonder what the Ontario Human Rights Commission considers to be an effective response to a complaint. In a case that involved the University of Waterloo several years ago, the Ontario Human Rights Commissioner used the University of Waterloo's response as a standard on how organizations should respond. This standard can be summarized as the 6 elements of a reasonable response to a complaint. First of all, it is essential that the complaint is dealt with promptly. Secondly, the employer must address the issue of harassment or discrimination and provide appropriate resources to deal with it. This includes ensuring that management and employees are aware of the standards of behavior. The complaint must be taken seriously, and there should be a complaint mechanism in place that ensures that complainants have adequate access to information and advice. It is also essential that management and employees be advised of this mechanism. The response should result in the restoration of a healthy work environment for the complainant, and it is essential that management clearly communicate its actions to the complainant. The best way to demonstrate that the University of Waterloo takes these matters seriously is to respond early. As a supervisor, you may be uncertain whether there is or is not a problem in your area. You should feel free to consult with the Conflict Management and Human Rights Office to discuss early signs of difficulties. In order to minimize the negative impact of a concern on your department, it is essential to address the concern as early as possible.